Well, I want to welcome everybody today to the presentation. Our presentation today is called The X Factor, the Missing Piece of the Puzzle. And today we have a very special guest, Shannon Wynn. Shannon is a 100K Premier in Zyngo. Interesting about Shannon is that Shannon was a supervisor of global task teams with Sun Microsystems, and Shannon was actually kind of down on the network marketing industry for many, many years, and today she's one of the top leaders in the company. So today she's bringing us some information about X51, the code name for our new product, the lab name, giving you a twofold purpose of this presentation we're doing today. Number one is to give you some information to understand the power of X51, what X51 can do for you. So you might be an existing marketing executive with us, or you might be looking at this presentation to learn a little bit more. The second purpose of this is to give you some ideas on how to find and share small sound bites, so we are actually attracting people to us instead of repelling people away from us, sharing the powerful benefits of this product. And we're going to give you some tools, some places and resources to go to help find some additional tools to help you in building your business. So without further ado, Shannon, welcome to the presentation today, and take it away because you've got some powerful information. Hopefully everybody has a pen so they can take some notes here. Do not leave your fortune in your memory, and let's get going. Shannon, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Ted. It's really an honor to be able to work with you on these calls and on these projects, and to be able to share my excitement and my belief in our product, our new product, X51. So what I'd like to do today is to share some information that I've compiled and to give with it some little sound bites that would go to each part of this information. The purpose is to have a person be interested enough to ask you for the stats and the facts that go or that you see on these corresponding slides. So let's start with the first slide. Our classic standard intro in the last 6 weeks has been, do you know anyone who is tired, stressed, or depressed? Well, you probably do, because if we look at these stats, it's pretty obvious that, over 50% of all lost working days are related to stress. Up to 80% of all doctor visits are for stress-related illnesses. 80% of workers are feeling stress on the job, where they're spending 40 to 60 hours a week. And stress is actually the #1 public health menace right now. So in this case, when you know someone who's overworked, underpaid, underappreciated, a really great line would be to sympathize with them, to walk into it with a little sympathy. You could say something like, wow, my stress levels were killing me too, but I found nirvana in a bottle, and I am ready to conquer the world, or at least my housework. And, again, that's less than 30 seconds. The word nirvana evokes all these images, and people are going to say, nirvana, is that the name of the product? And then you've got an intro to talk a little bit more about it. On our next slide, we see that stress really is a killer. Generalized anxiety disorder affects approximately 183 million people worldwide. This is not just, a U.S.-based problem. The stats show that there are 120 million prescriptions written a year for antidepressant drugs. And when you consider that there are only 306 million people in the U.S., you can clearly see that we're creeping up on the 50% marker of the U.S. population. And Syndrome X, that's just kind of a catch-all for these conditions that are related to each other. If someone has diabetes or high blood sugar, they're probably going to be on high cholesterol meds and high blood pressure meds. And doctors are finding that they are all related to abdominal obesity. They also tend to cluster together and be rooted in some sort of a hormonal disruption. So in this case, where you know that someone is facing one of these clustered health challenges, something that you could say was, I found out about 1/3 of all Americans are on antidepressants. I was headed down that road, but I took a left at Vigor Boulevard, Vigor being our new category name that we are going to dominate, actually. Our next slide shows us some stats, a dollar breakdown on how much we're spending a year trying not to be tired, stressed, or depressed. It's over $80 billion a year. People are desperate to feel better, spending over $38 billion a year on antidepressants like Prozac and Wellbutrin, Cymbalta, And the pharmaceutical companies know this is big business. Why do you think they're advertising to us on TV? Not because we can write these prescriptions ourselves, but they want us to go into the doctor and ask for them by name. $4.3 billion a year to help get some sleep, like Ambien and Lunesta and Tylenol PM, things like that. $20 billion a year on coffee. $3 billion a year on energy drinks. As a matter of fact, I was just at a tourist attraction last week, and they were selling these Monster energy drinks in the cafe. Why? Because people need that little pick-me-up to make this hour-and-a-half tour. You don't even walk a mile, and people just don't have the energy to do it on their own. So something that you could say along those lines are, I'm no E.F. Hutton, but I predict that Starbucks, Red Bull, and Prozac stocks are on the way down. Why? Because my vigor is on the way up, and I'm sharing my secret with the world. Bringing out those names, Starbucks, Red Bull, Prozac, those are names that everyone recognizes, and again, they're going to say, your vigor is on the way up? What is that? It leaves you lots of openings to explain what you know to someone, but keep them interactive in the conversation, which is going to be really important. On to our next slide. Do you know what stress is doing to you? Why don't zebras get ulcers? We'll explain that in a little bit. The causes of stress are extremely common to everyone. They're emotional, they're physical, they're environmental, they come from a non-optimal diet. But something that not all people might know is that stress breaks down all tissue in the body. Ocular tissue, cardiac tissue, muscle tissue, every single tissue we have except fat tissue, and specifically belly fat. Hormonal disruption is often more to be the cause of a beer belly than an actual caloric intake. And during high stress times, you actually see neural atrophy. That's where brain cells are actually constricted and dying. So an interesting conversation intro would be, do you know why zebras don't get ulcers? Or do you know that zebras don't get ulcers? Do you want to know why? And that's where you explain to them that because zebras never experience a state of chronic stress as do humans, simply cases of acute stress. That means that in stressful situations, our brain will naturally emit a chemical or a hormone, cortisol, to help us deal with those stressful situations, give us faster reflexes, maybe clarity of vision. The adrenaline pumps, and you can just do things that you can't normally do. And that's fine in that momentary situation. For a zebra, that lasts for about a minute. Some predator starts chasing them on the savanna. They realize they're in danger. The stress kicks in. It kicks up their speed, their agility, and it only ends in one of two ways. Either they get caught, which is the bad way for it to end for the zebra, or they get away. But as soon as they get away, their stress levels come back down, their brain stops pumping out those stress hormones, and they just kind of go back to whatever they were doing. Well, we don't have that luxury because our stresses continue every single day. Are we going to be able to make the house payment? Am I going to get that promotion or that raise at work? How are my kids' grades? How did they do on the science project? Oh my gosh, I got to get this big dinner party together. And it goes on and on and on. Another thing that I like to say is to people is, you know, you would think it was only fair if that you're way stressed out that you would at least be skinny, but oh no, it's totally the opposite. But that's okay because I'm about to change all that. And hopefully everyone out there who has had the opportunity to experience our amazing product has seen the same results that I have. I have lost over a dress size, and that's really primarily around my abdominal section. I have not been exercising like I should or drinking more water. I am sleeping better, getting more rest. But other than that, nothing has changed. It's simply my body becoming more sensitive to the cortisol, and therefore I'm not hanging on to that belly fat. So it's been really tremendous. So let's move on to our next slide. And why is balance so important? There are two really important